Hi guys.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Ed. How are you?
Fine.
Who else is here? Hi. Can you see me?
Yeah,
I missed you so much, guys.
me
You
too.
can open your cameras now. Since this is probably the last time I'm going to see you this year, so I would like to see all of you. If you can open your cameras, that would be great. Hi, Yasin. I missed you.
Yes.
How are you guys? I miss you so much. Happy I see all of you. I hope you're doing great.
Hi, Miss.
Who's this? This is Najat.
Yes,
Hi, Najat. How are you?
fine. أيوة ده نشكك عندك بقى.
Hi, Ziad. I missed all of you guys, and I hope all the exams go smoothly. Inshallah, Bukra's exam is going to be great. Yani don't worry. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time, so I'm going to turn off my camera now. If we have time at the end of the session, the rest I can see the rest of you. Hi, honey. Okay, so we are going to start now, and today's revision is really important. I'm going to turn off my camera now, and we're going to start, okay? Hi, Limar. Hi, honey.
Hi.
Okay. Let's start. Now, guys, today we are going to revise all of our previous PowerPoints. We're not going to revise the PowerPoints. I made you like a summary of all of the previous PowerPoints that could help you, inshallah, summarize everything. And who's annotating my screen? Yeah, okay. So we are going to revise all the parts. So we have 4 parts that your exam is will be including those parts. The first one is the body systems. The second one is the animals classification. The third one is the sound, and the fourth is the plant. And the plant is the only lesson that will be involved from your third trimester resource pack. First part we're going to talk about is the body systems. In this part, we talked about 3 body systems: the digestive system, the respiratory system, and the excretory system. So you have to know what each one of them, what is the definition of each one of them. So first, the digestive system is a long tube where the food is broken down into nutrients an organism can use. You have to pay attention that I might in the exam give you the definition of one of the systems, and I would ask you to tell me which system is this. You have to choose one of the 3 systems that we have learned about this in this trimester. Yes, Najat. Najat, do you have a question, dear?
Miss, is this PowerPoint going to be uploaded on the Google Classroom?
This whole session is going to be uploaded in the Google Classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course the PowerPoint will be a part of it. Okay? So
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome, dear. So the digestive system starts with the mouth, and the mouth has several parts in it. Guys, please, if you have a very important question, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, don't, because we don't want to waste time. Okay? Yes, Mariam. Okay. Najed, do you still have a question here? No. Okay. So the mouth is the first part of the digestive system. It has several organs that help us to break down food. Furthermore, first, of course, are the teeth. They are used to grind food, salivary glands, which produces saliva, and this saliva breaks down the food. Number three is the tongue, and the tongue helps us to swallow food. So this is the mouth. Afterwards, when we swallow food, it starts to move in a long tube called the esophagus, and the esophagus is a long tube which made of muscles, and it starts to contract and expand in order to move the food from the mouth to the stomach. Okay, it acts like when you are trying to get the toothpaste out of the tube of the toothpaste. You start to push your way through the tube in order to get the toothpaste out of it. Number five is the stomach, and you have to remember how the stomach looks like and how each organ looks like, because I might bring you the picture of an organ and I will ask you what is the name of this organ. So please pay attention to the rest of the organs, how they look like because of this. So the stomach is known, of course, that it produces strong acids, specifically the hydrochloric acid, to break down the food furthermore. And then after that, the food starts to transfer into the small intestine, and it starts with the first part of the small intestine that links between the stomach and the small intestine is called the duodenum. And in the small intestine, the food starts to absorb, the small intestine starts to absorb the nutrients found in the food. Then it starts to move to the large intestine, where the food that reach the large intestine still have the water inside it, and the large intestine starts to reabsorb this water, and it has this small part that extends out of it, which we call the appendix. Then afterwards, after the large intestine reabsorbs the water, it moves to the rectum, which is like the final part before the body pushes the food away from it or pushes it from the system. So the rectum is when the undigested food is waiting until the body is ready to get it out or get rid out of it through the anus. Of course, there are supplementary organs like the liver and the gallbladder and the pancreas. All of those, or let me just be specific, the pancreas and liver are the ones who produces juices in order to help in the digestion process, while the gallbladder, which is the small green pouch, acts like the liver pocket. The liver produces the juice, and then when it have excess juice, it puts it in the gallbladder until it's ready to be to get out. Now after that, we talked about the excretory system, and we said that the excretory or the urinary system has two names. It removes waste products from the body. So if after all of the digestion and after the body processes everything that gets inside it, whether you took a medicine or you are eating, you ate some food, your medicine, you took it through injections through your mouth, whatever got inside your system, and there is a waste product out of this, which means toxic things or things that your body doesn't need. So your urinary system, and this waste will be dissolved in water, which can be get rid through water, then the excretory system is your man. It removes the waste product that can be dissolved in water, and this happens through first through the kidneys, and there are small tiny filters inside the kidney that we call the nephrons, and those nephrons act like small filters to remove the waste from the water and the blood that gets inside the kidney. Then there is the ureter, which is the long tube that connects between the kidneys and the bladder. And then there is the bladder, which the urine is stored in. Afterwards, the urethra, which is the last part in your excretory system, it gets rid of the urine after the bladder is full. Ziad, I will take all the questions after I finish the respiratory system. Anything related to the systems, I'm going to take the questions about after I finish each part. Okay, so the last part is the respiratory system, and then I will ask you if you have any questions. The last system, sorry, the last system is the respiratory system, and the respiratory system provides the oxygen to all the cells of the body. All of your cells inside your bodies, they need oxygen and of course glucose, which is the sugar, in order to make energy. All of the cells perform by energy. So it needs the oxygen in order to burn down the food that gets to the cell and turn it into energy so that you can perform in your daily life. It starts with the nose. So the nose is where I want you to pay attention to something, guys. When I say the organ that help you breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, I'm talking about the nose. So the word breathe means that I'm talking about the nose, because after that you will find that in the lungs, I will tell you that it's the organ that gives blood oxygen and takes away carbon dioxide. So please don't get confused between the two. When I'm telling you that this organ is giving blood the oxygen and takes away carbon dioxide, I mean the lungs. But when I tell you that the organ that breathes in, it introduces the oxygen from the first place to your body and get rid of the carbon dioxide through it. So I mean the nose, okay? The trachea, of course, is the passageway. It connects between the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system, which is the nose and everything in the upper part, and the lungs is the trachea. And then there is this muscle, which is the diaphragm, and the diaphragm is very important for your breathing process. Okay, I'm done with the first part. Any questions, guys? Yes, Limar. Yes, dear.
Miss, I don't understand the part where you said the glucose something. I don't understand.
You don't have, yeah. It's something related. I don't mean glucose. Glucose means sugar. Okay. So anything that you eat, it has sugar in it. Okay. And this sugar, when someone is a little bit who is fainting or a little bit dizzy, they tell you to give them quickly like sugar or something sugary. This is to give the body energy. You don't have to know about it. It's just an extra information, and you don't need to know about it. I just want to tell you that this sugar with the oxygen, it's what provides your body with energy. Okay, so the respiratory system is the system that provides your body with oxygen, and the digestive system is the one that provides you with sugar. Together they give your body the energy. Okay.
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 Thank you so much.
You're welcome, dear. Yes, Ziad.
Miss, I was asking, it was a quiz from second trimester, but I will tell you the question. Both the kidneys and the liver rid the blood from toxins.
Okay, I will
Admit
show
it false.
I will show you right now something, okay?
Okay.
Do you see this? Do you see it? Important note, both liver and kidneys rid the body from wastes. So it's true, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Both, you're welcome. Both liver and kidneys, both of them rids the body from wastes, okay? So if you had a question that is true or false, or that asks you about what are the organs that gets the body from wastes, and you have one through the options that says liver and kidneys, then it's the right answer. And there is also the question that says two organs that produces juices. So can you tell me, Ziad, which organs produces juices that help you to digest food furthermore?
Liver.
Liver and? No, produces juices. I said it in the digestive system. Let's see it together. Eh.
I know. Pancreas.
Pancreas
Wait, I
and
didn't.
liver.
Wallah, I didn't say it. Wallah, I didn't say
La,
it.
la, I know. So pancreas and liver are the ones who produces juices, but the ones that rids the body from wastes are liver and kidneys. Okay? طيب نجاة, yes نجاة.
Miss, I was going to ask you, is the question that Limar asked you is coming in the exam or no?
No, dear, no. I just want you to know that the respiratory system is the one that provides the body with the oxygen. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, dears? If you don't have a question, please lower your hand. Limar, do you still have a question, dear? All right. So let's move on now with the second part, which is the animal classification. Okay. So we know that we classify animals into two groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. And vertebra means the backbone or the vertebral column. So this means that any animals that do not have backbones, we call it invertebrates. We call them invertebrates. Like what? Like the jellyfish, like the flies, the house flies, like the worms. While the vertebrates are the animals who have the backbone. And in this case, we classify them into 5 main groups. The first one are the mammals, and we are of the mammals. We have hair or fur, we have lungs. Mammals give birth and they feed their young milk. Like what? Like the cows and us, the human. Okay? The second type of vertebrates are the birds, and the birds, they are known by having feathers, they have lungs, they have wings, and they lay eggs. Like what? Like the ducks. Okay, what about the fish? This is the third group. The third group is the fish. It has scales on it. It breathes through gills. It lays eggs, and of course, it lives in water. The fourth is the reptiles, and the reptiles, they have dry skin. They have scaly skin like the fish. They breathe through lungs, and they lay eggs. Like what? Like the crocodiles, like the snakes. So anything that, like the turtles or the tortoise, all of those are reptiles. Number 5 are the amphibians, and the amphibians are still a bit confusing for some people. So the amphibians, they live half of their lives underwater, the first half of their lives underwater. This is why they lay their eggs in water. Okay, so they live half of their lives, the first part of their lives, underwater, and then the adults, when they get bigger, they can live on land. So that's why the adults, they breathe with lungs and through their skin. Examples, of course, are the frogs and salamanders, and there is a little thing that looks like the salamander. It's called the newt. They, of course, have smooth skin too. So we have a bit of exceptions that might get us a little bit confused. Like what? Like there are a specific mammal that can fly. It has wings, which is the bat. And I want you to remember the bat by the coronavirus. What causes the coronavirus is a flying mammal, okay? So the bat is a flying mammal. What about the swimming mammals? There are swimming mammals, mammals who lives underwater, but they have lungs and they give birth and they do everything related to the mammals, but they live underwater, which are the whales and the dolphins. Those are mammals who can swim underwater. The third is the swimming bird, a bird which is a perfect swimmer because it lives in a place where it's full of ice and water, which are the penguins. They can swim very good because they have the streamlined body that can help them swim and get their food from the water. Now I finished the second part. Anyone has a question? Yes, Najat. Najat, do you have a question, honey? No?
No, no.
Okay. Limar?
Miss, do penguins have gills or lungs, or what do they have for
No.
breathing?
Penguins are a bird. Okay? Penguins
Okay.
are birds. Birds have what?
Lungs.
Yes.
Okay, I
So-
thought it had gills because it
No.
lives sometimes in water.
No. And I want you to pay attention to this, please. The only thing that differs in the exception is the thing that I mentioned. For example, the bat, it has everything related to a mammal. It has lungs, it breathes through it, and it gives birth to their babies. They feed their babies milk, they have fur. Everything related to a mammal is in the bat. The only exception that it has wings. And this is why we say that it's a flying mammal, okay? The whales and dolphins, the same as the bat. It's a mammal too. It has lungs, it gives birth to their babies, they feed their babies milk, everything related to the mammal. The only thing that they live underwater, this is the exception. They can swim and they have the body of a fish, but they are not fishes, they are mammals, okay? The third is the penguins, and the penguins are very good swimmers. They can swim underwater very well, but they have everything related to the birds. It breathes by lungs, it lay eggs, it have wings, it have feathers, everything related to the birds. In this part, I might bring you picture of any of the previous examples, like for example, a picture of a cow, or a picture of a duck, or a picture of a reptile like a crocodile or something, a picture of anything of those, or a picture of the exceptions, a picture of a bat, a picture of a whale or a dolphin, and I will ask you in which group does this animal belong to. Is it a mammal? Is it a bird? Do you understand the way I'm going to get you the question? I might, of course, tell you the description of one of the groups. For example, an animal that have hair or fur, it has lungs, it gives birth, it feeds their baby milk. So what is this group? You will choose mammals, for example. Okay, so this is the way I'm going to get you, and of course you have to pay attention to the difference between the vertebrates and invertebrates. Okay. Now the third part is the sound, and the sound, I consider it the largest part through all of the previous ones. So the sound is produced by vibrations, and we made a lot of activities in class related to the sound. If you remember, when I got you a guitar, and when I got you this bottles of water that has different amounts of water inside it. And I also showed you the tuning fork and how when I bang it to the table and you put it on your hand, it vibrates really hard. Hi Hassan, how are you, dear? We missed you.
Me too.
Yeah. So let's continue. Would you please turn off the video, Hassan?
Okay.
Okay. And the sound wave is made of two main parts. The compressions, and the compressions, it means to compress something. So it's like the part of the air that had lots or many particles. Do you remember when we talked about the word regions, and the regions are the area that have many sound particles, or many, particles that the sound vibrated and compressed them into a specific area. And then we said the rarefactions are the parts of the regions in the air that have fewer particles, because the particles start to get away from each other. So the compressions are the regions. Please mute your mics, guys, because I'm hearing everything around you. Okay, so the compressions are the regions where a lot of air particles are present, and the rarefactions are the regions where we have fewer particles, air particles in it. Okay, so there we have many musical instruments, and we want to know how they produce sound. So if there are some music instruments that produces sound if we hit it. So like what? Like the drums, for example. You have the drumsticks and you start to hit the drums in order to produce sound. What about the stringed instrument? The stringed instruments, they produce sound if they are plucked, like the guitar, like the violin. And do you remember when I told you about Tom and Jerry, the episode where Jerry was sleeping inside the piano, and Tom was playing the piano, and he started to bang the strings, or plucking the strings? Do you remember this, guys? If you remember it, yeah. So I want you to, because a lot may get confused when it comes to the piano, because it looks like you're just pressing on the keys, but actually in the back of the piano there are strings that that are being plucked. Okay, so the piano produces sound when it is plucked. The next is some of the wind instruments, like the flute and the clarinet. They produce sound when they are blown. Okay. There are two types of waves: longitudinal waves and transverse waves. The sound is a longitudinal waves, a kind of wave. This is why it is made of compressions and rarefactions, while the light is a transverse wave, and it's made of crests and troughs. You don't have to know they are about the light, that they are made of crests and troughs. You just have to know that the light is a transverse wave, while the sound is a longitudinal wave. Okay. Now let's come to the properties of the sound. The first property is the volume, and the volume is how loud or soft the sound is, and you can measure it using this device, which is called the sound level meter, and the measuring unit of the volume is the decibel. Okay. Now the next property is the sound pitch. And we talked a lot about the sound pitch when I got you the guitar, and I showed you how when I change the vibrating segment, it affects the pitch of the sound. So the pitch of the sound is how high or low the sound is. Let's repeat again. The volume is how loud or soft, while the pitch is how high or low the sound is. Okay, some are high-pitched sound, and the high-pitched sound is produced by a short vibrating segment or a stretched object, while the low-pitched sound is produced by a long vibrating segment or loose objects. The third property is the frequency, and the frequency is the number of vibrations in 1 second. So high-pitched sound have high frequency and low-pitched sound have low frequency. What about the echo? The echo is the bounce back of the sound. So if the sound hits a hard surface, it's going to bounce back and produce an echo. But if hits a soft object like a cushion or something that is really soft, it's going to be absorbed. So no echo will be produced. Now the sound is transferred in medium like light. Sound needs medium to be transferred, not like light. Light doesn't need the medium to transfer. Like what mediums? It could be solid, it could be liquid, it could be gas. So the more the particles of the medium are close to each other, the faster the sound will be transferred. So this means that the solid medium is the fastest medium that the sound will go through, while the gas medium is the slowest one. Okay. The last part is this is the structure of the ear, and you know that the eardrum, you will find it in the middle ear. There is an outer and there is an inner and there is the middle ear. The eardrum and those three small bones connected to the eardrum are found in the middle ear. And this one that looks like the snail, this part is found in the inner ear, and it's called the cochlea. If you remember, you will find it in your resource pack. It's called the cochlea. Okay. Do you have a question, guys? Anyone has a question? Yes, Najat.
Miss, can you repeat the part of the frequency again?
A frequency is how the number of vibrations, you know that the sound is produced by vibrations, right? So how many vibrations happens in 1 second, this is the frequency. It's like when I pluck the string of the guitar and it starts to vibrate. I will count how many vibrations occurred in 1 second. This is what frequency is. Okay?
So the low-pitched sound
have lower frequency.
Low?
Yes.
And the high-pitched sound take a high frequency.
High frequency, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, Farida? Farida, yes, dear. I can't hear you, honey. Do you have a question? Farida? Okay. So let's continue with our last part, which is the plants part. And the plants part, I think you will remember it very well. Yes, Abdurrahman.
The part of the ear part.
What's wrong with it, honey?
I don't know what the cochlea do.
What the cochlea do?
Yeah.
You don't need to know. You didn't take what the cochlea do. The cochlea does is that it is connected to the nerve, which is the auditory nerve, the nerve responsible for sending the sound messages that the ear gets to the brain. So this is what the cochlea do, but you don't have to know its job. You just have to know its shape and what its name, okay? Because I might bring you the picture of it and I tell you what's the name of this organ. So you have to tell me its name, cochlea, or you have to choose, yeah. Okay? Yes, Farida, do you still have a question, dear? I don't know what's wrong with your mic, but I can't hear you at all. Okay, we have to move because we have only 5 minutes left in the session, so we have to move with our revision. So the last part is the plant part, and the whole plant have 4 main parts, which are the roots, the stem, the leaves, and the flower. The roots, is the one responsible for anchoring the plant and anchoring the plant in the soil and absorbing water and nutrients from the soil. The stem is what keeps the plant upright, and it delivers it, like it takes the water and nutrients from the root and deliver it to the rest of the plant. The leaves is the food factory. It's responsible for making photosynthesis in order to make the food for the rest of the plant. And the flower is the organ responsible for the reproduction, and that's why it's colorful and scented, and it has sweet juice inside it, which is called the nectar. So this is why, and it's where the seeds are produced, and inside the ovary when it turns into a fruit. The flower itself is made of 5 main parts. The first part is the receptacle, and the receptacle is the base. It is the end of, or the upper part of the stalk. So what holds the whole flower is called the receptacle. And then there is the sepal, which is the green. It looks like the petals, but it's green, and it's what protects the flower when it's still a bud. Then there is the petals, and the petals are the colorful and scented parts that attract the insects when the flower is ready for pollination. And then there is the stamen, which is the male part or the male organ in the flower, and it's made of the filament, which holds the anther. As you can see, it holds the anther, and the anther opens up to get the pollen grains out. So this is the part where the pollen grains are produced. Next is the carpel or the pistil, which is the female part, and it consists of stigma style, and of course the ovary, which has the ovules inside it. After that, pollination, and pollination is the transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma. Okay, this is where the pollination stops. And there are many ways the pollination happens, whether by insects when they stand on the flower and for the sweet nectar. I want you to pay attention to this very, very well. It's the juice inside the flower. It's called the nectar. Or it could be blown by wind or by water, and of course by human artificially. The fertilization process is the next after the pollination. It's when the sperm cells enters the egg to make the seed. The sperm cell is inside the pollen grain, so when the pollen sticks to the stigma, it starts to extend the pollen tube that make it reach the ovule. There are 3 parts of the seeds: seed coat, seed cotyledon, which has the food of the seed, and of course the embryo, which is the start of a new plant. Seeds are dispersed by many ways. I want you to pay attention to how they look like. This seed, it looks like it has wings because it flies like a helicopter, and it is dispersed by wind. This is by insects. As you can see, the ant is holding it and transferring it to another place. And of course, the famous dandelion, it flies by wind. And this is the coconut, and the coconut transfers by water. This is how the seed grows. The beginning of any seed is the root. The root, guys, please mute your mics because I don't want anyone to get confused, and we have less than a minute. The root is the beginning of any plant, and then the shoots starts to come out, as you can see. So it starts with the root and then the shoot. And of course, there is the cycle of the plant. we were going to start with the seed. The seed germinates to make a plant, and then the plant starts to flower, and then pollination occurs. And when pollination occurs, fertilization occurs. When fertilization occurs, we make the seed, and then the seeds start to be dispersed, and we will continue the cycle again. So yes, Mariam, do you have a question, honey?
Yes,
Yes, quickly, quickly, quickly.
I have two questions. The first one, is